Sophia Lancaster, wife of the famous billionaire Ethan Lancaster, stepped onto her first-class flight to Los Angeles, where she would attend an international charity gala. She chose a refined yet understated dress, pairing it with classic heels and a vintage handbag. Sophia aimed to keep her look modest yet sophisticated, not wanting to draw much attention despite her notable background. From the moment Sophia boarded the plane, flight attendant Amanda Green took notice of her. Amanda's gaze was sharp, assessing every detail of Sophia's outfit, from the designer dress to the expensive shoes, while observing her calm demeanor as she entered the first-class cabin. Internally, Amanda quickly judged that Sophia was likely just trying to appear wealthy. Amanda wondered whether Sophia truly belonged in first class, as, to her, Sophia didn't fit her expectations of someone with power or status. Discomfort and prejudice started to show on Amanda's face as she repeatedly shot glances at Sophia while she made her way to her seat. Sophia couldn't help but notice Amanda's scrutinizing gaze, yet she offered a polite smile in return. She took her seat by the window, next to an older businessman, Mr. Lucas Bellamy. Lucas, who had been reading a newspaper, folded it as soon as he noticed Sophia sitting down. "Lucas, smiling, pleasure to meet you. I'm Lucas Bellamy. Are you traveling for business or pleasure?" Sophia, cheerfully, "Nice to meet you. I'm Sophia Lancaster. I'm headed to Los Angeles to attend a charity gala." Lucas, nodding approvingly, "Ah, that's wonderful. I've been to a few charity events myself. It's rare to see people who genuinely care about giving back." Sophia, politely, "I believe that everyone, regardless of their position, can help bring about positive change." Meanwhile, Amanda, standing nearby, eavesdropped on their conversation and began feeling increasingly irritated. Inwardly, Amanda thought, just another show-off. She probably got into first class because of someone else. First class is meant for people who actually deserve it, not for people who like to flaunt themselves. She cleared her throat as she passed by Sophia's seat, not greeting her as she did with the other passengers, but instead giving her a cold, disapproving look. When Amanda checked Sophia's ticket, instead of a friendly greeting, she posed probing questions as if to verify the validity of Sophia's presence in first class. "Amanda, your ticket, please. Could you show me your ticket again?" Sophia was a bit surprised, as first-class passengers usually weren't subjected to such requests once they'd boarded. Nonetheless, she stayed calm, reached into her handbag, and handed Amanda her ticket. "Sophia, of course, here's my ticket. I already had it checked when I boarded, but it's fine." Amanda, holding the ticket indifferently, "Just a formality, Mrs. Lancaster." Sophia offered a polite smile, while Amanda handed the ticket back briskly, her attitude slightly irritated. Lucas and a few passengers nearby noticed Amanda's demeanor, exchanging confused looks as they observed her unusual scrutiny. As Sophia settled back into her seat, she reached into her handbag for a book to read. But Amanda continued to keep an eye on her, seemingly trying to find some reason to confirm her belief that Sophia didn't belong in first class. Amanda walked back and forth through the cabin, glancing at Sophia with a judgmental expression each time she passed. An older woman seated across the aisle, Mrs. Margaret Whitmore, also noticed Amanda's attitude. She shook her head slightly, showing quiet disapproval, but said nothing, simply giving Sophia a sympathetic glance. Finally, Sophia sighed softly as she felt the unfriendly atmosphere radiating from Amanda. She turned her gaze to the window, deciding to ignore the attendant's attitude and instead focus on preparing for her speech. Still, Sophia couldn't help but wonder why she was receiving so much scrutiny simply because of her appearance or the way she dressed. Sophia thought of Ethan, her husband, who always supported her in everything she did. Ethan would probably laugh if he knew about this, she thought. She recalled what he always said whenever she faced judgments from strangers: "Sophia, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You are enough just as you are." As the plane slowly taxied down the runway, preparing for takeoff, Sophia closed her eyes and took a deep breath, savoring the start of the journey. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling of Amanda's judgmental gaze, as the attendant continued to watch her every move with a hint of hostility. If you're enjoying this story and want to support us, please hit like and subscribe. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating meaningful content. And don't go anywhere, the most exciting moments are still to come. The plane had settled into its cruising altitude, and a soft light filled the first-class cabin. Passengers began to relax, with some opening their laptops to work, while others enjoyed movies or immersed themselves in books. Sophia took out the book she had been reading from her handbag, flipping to her bookmarked page, hoping to focus for the remainder of the flight. But just as she settled in, head flight attendant Amanda Green appeared beside her with a scrutinizing look and an unfriendly gaze. Amanda stopped right by Sophia's seat, holding a tray of drinks. She stood still for a moment, her cold eyes assessing Sophia from head to toe. Sophia, although aware of Amanda's piercing gaze, maintained a gentle smile, trying not to be affected by the attendant's unfriendly demeanor. "Amanda, miss, would you care for a drink? We have red wine, white wine, or juice. Every first-class passenger is entitled to any drink they wish from our menu." Sophia politely, "I'll just have a glass of water, thank you." Amanda looked at Sophia for a moment, then held back a slight sneer. She poured the water with a slightly forced motion, as if the act was more of a burden than a part of her job. Then she deliberately spilled a bit of water on Sophia's table as she set down the glass. Amanda, "Oh, I'm sorry," she said, though her tone lacked any real apology. "I'll get a napkin." Sophia maintained her calm smile, but her irritation was evident. She tried to clean up the spill herself, realizing Amanda's action had likely been no accident. A few seconds later, Amanda returned, handing Sophia a napkin with a look of subtle disdain. "Amanda, are you traveling for business or on vacation?" she asked, her tone sounding more probing than genuinely interested. Sophia gently, "I'm heading to Los Angeles to attend a charity event." Amanda, "Oh, a charity event," Amanda responded, drawing out the words deliberately. "It's nice that some people still manage to find time for that sort of thing, isn't it?" Sophia, sensing the underlying tone but staying polite, "Yes. Events like these are very meaningful to me." Amanda gave a faint, mocking smile and muttered under her breath, just loud enough for Sophia to hear, "Anyone can do charity work if they're in the right position," then walked away, leaving an uncomfortable tension in the air. A nearby passenger, Mr. Lucas Bellamy, couldn't help but notice Amanda's tone and attitude. A seasoned businessman, Lucas quickly picked up on the oddity of Amanda's behavior towards Sophia. Leaning slightly towards Sophia, he spoke in a low voice. "Lucas, she doesn't seem very friendly, does she? Sometimes I think people could use a reminder about the value of respect." Sophia, smiling gently, "Thank you, Lucas. But I believe everyone has their own reasons. Maybe it's just a hard day for her." Lucas, nodding thoughtfully, "You're remarkably forgiving, Mrs. Lancaster." "I'm not sure I'd be able to respond so calmly. Sophia, I think each of us has our own story. In any case, a little patience never hurts." Sophia tried to brush off Amanda's attitude, though a slight discomfort lingered. She thought about the many types of people she'd encountered in life, those who showed respect and those who judged her based on appearance or social status. Still, she wondered why a flight attendant, whose role was to serve and create comfort for passengers, would show such negative behavior. After moving through the other rows, Amanda returned to Sophia's seat, this time with the pretense of double-checking her ticket. Sophia was surprised, as no other first-class passenger had been asked to show their ticket twice. She calmly opened her handbag, took out her ticket, and handed it to Amanda with composure. Amanda, taking the ticket, inspecting it carefully, "Just a routine check, Mrs. Lancaster. We want to make sure everything's in order." Sophia, polite but a bit puzzled, "Of course, no problem. Thank you." Amanda returned the ticket with a dissatisfied look, then turned and walked away without saying another word. A few passengers nearby, including Mrs. Margaret Whitmore sitting across the aisle, observed the entire scene with disapproving expressions. Margaret, speaking softly to Sophia after Amanda left, "I've been flying first class for years, and I've never seen anyone's ticket checked twice like that. You don't have to put up with her attitude, Mrs. Lancaster." Sophia, smiling softly, shrugging, "Thank you, Margaret. Perhaps it's just a procedure she's required to follow. Hopefully she won't feel the need to check it again." Margaret, nodding with a sympathetic look, "You're truly patient. But I think she needs to learn a bit more about respecting others." Returning to the back of the first-class cabin, Amanda sat down next to her younger colleague, Jake Sanders, muttering under her breath. She had no idea that her looks and actions hadn't gone unnoticed by many passengers. "Amanda, can you believe it? These days, anyone can get into first class with a little luck and connections." Jake, frowning, "Surprised, who are you talking about?" "Amanda, Mrs. Lancaster, the woman sitting in the front row. She looks so high class, but I bet she's nothing special beyond appearances." Jake, hesitating slightly, "I think she's the wife of Ethan Lancaster, the investment billionaire. She's actually quite well known for her charity work. Anyway, I think we should stay professional with all our passengers." Amanda fell silent after Jake's comment, though internally she still couldn't accept it. She disliked having to serve someone whom she thought only had privileges because of luck. But she hadn't realized that her actions were drawing the attention and discomfort of many passengers in the cabin. Sophia, trying to stay calm, felt that this flight might not be as peaceful as she'd hoped. She thought about her upcoming charity speech, the message of compassion and empathy she always aimed to share, and wondered if she could treat Amanda in the way she encouraged others to act with tolerance and understanding. The plane continued at cruising altitude, and passengers began to relax, enjoying Royal Skies Airlines first-class service. Sophia intended to spend some time reviewing her notes for the charity speech, but Amanda Green's increasingly unpleasant demeanor was impossible to ignore. Amanda continued to keep an unfriendly eye on Sophia. She interacted cheerfully with the other passengers, smiling warmly, but every time she came near Sophia's row, her expression turned cold, even somewhat hostile. Passing by Sophia's seat, Amanda muttered under her breath, though loud enough for Sophia to hear, "Can't understand why some people feel the need to show off. First class or a fashion runway. Hard to tell sometimes." Sophia sighed softly, still trying to maintain her composure. She turned back to her book, but the words seemed to blur as her mind kept wandering to Amanda's attitude. Sitting beside her, Lucas noticed the tension and leaned in slightly. "Lucas, Sophia, are you all right? I've noticed the flight attendant's behavior seems a bit unusual." Sophia smiling faintly. "Thank you, Lucas. Sometimes I just feel that certain people struggle to see others without judging them based on appearances." Lucas nodding sympathetically. "Your patience is admirable, Sophia. But I think she's taking advantage of your courtesy." Sophia nodded, realizing that her patience might truly be tested on this flight. She had encountered all sorts of people in her life, those who showed respect and those who judged solely on appearances. But this time, it seemed Amanda had crossed a line. If you're enjoying this story and want to support us, please hit like and subscribe. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating meaningful content. And don't go anywhere, the most exciting moments are still to come. At one point, as Amanda walked past, she deliberately brushed against Sophia's arm, causing the water glass on her table to spill, soaking the hem of Sophia's dress. Amanda gave a slight, insincere apology, her tone flat and her gaze filled with disdain. Sophia remaining calm. "It's all right, it's just a little water." Amanda merely shrugged and continued with her tasks, unfazed. Mrs. Margaret Whitmore, seated across the aisle, couldn't stay silent any longer. "Margaret, excuse me, miss, but I believe that first-class passengers deserve a more professional level of service." Amanda smirking, muttering, "Oh, so now everyone's a customer service expert." Margaret looking directly at Amanda, "Yes, indeed. And I think you'd receive better reviews if you treated all passengers with respect, not just those you consider important." Amanda held back her irritation and quickly walked away, leaving Margaret and Sophia with a resentful glance. Sophia appreciated Margaret's support but still tried to remain composed, not wanting the situation to escalate further. Later, Amanda returned with a food tray. This time, as she set it in front of Sophia, her movement was so forceful that water splashed slightly, causing a few drops to land on Sophia's elegant dress. Amanda looked at Sophia with a mocking smile, letting out a half-hearted apology. "Amanda, oh, my apologies. Seems that dress is almost too fine to be worn on a flight, isn't it? Must have cost quite a bit." Sophia polite but with a subtle edge. "This dress was a gift, Amanda. Its value lies not in its price, but in the kindness of the person who gave it to me." Amanda in a sarcastic tone, "Well, aren't you lucky?" Sophia sensed that Amanda's comment was laced with envy and malice. She realized that Amanda's behavior stemmed from something deeper than just a lack of professionalism. It came from a place of prejudice. Sitting beside her, Lucas could no longer tolerate the treatment and decided to step in. "Lucas, miss, I think you might want to consider adjusting your approach. The passengers here have paid for attentive service and shouldn't have to endure disrespect." Amanda looking at Lucas, flustered eye. "I'm just doing my job." Lucas, "Doing your job means serving, not judging the passengers. I hope you understand that." Amanda stopped, lips pressed tightly together, her eyes shooting a cold glare at Lucas and Sophia before she turned and walked away. Sophia sat quietly, feeling grateful for Lucas and Margaret's support, a comforting counterbalance to the judgmental gazes she'd endured. As Amanda headed to the back of the cabin, she passed her colleague Jake Sanders, who was assisting passengers in the middle section. Noticing the tension on Amanda's face, he asked softly, Jake, Amanda, are you all right? You look a little out of sorts. Amanda, irritated, whispering, did you see that woman sitting in the front row of first class? She's flaunting herself, doesn't belong in first class at all. I'm just doing my job. Jake, a bit surprised, oh, you mean Mrs. Lancaster? I believe she's the wife of Ethan Lancaster, the investment billionaire. She's actually known for her charity work. Amanda, surprised but trying to mask it really. And so what? That doesn't mean everyone wants to hear her name mentioned around here. Jake, shaking his head slightly, regardless. We should treat all passengers with the same respect, Amanda. That's one of our basic principles. Amanda didn't respond. She realized her behavior had drawn more attention than necessary, and Jake's defense of Sophia only added to her irritation. Instead of adjusting her attitude, however, Amanda felt even more determined to prove her point that money didn't entitle anyone to whatever they wanted. Meanwhile, Sophia sat quietly, gazing out the window. She let out a soft sigh, her hope for a peaceful flight fading away. Her thoughts turned to her upcoming speech, a talk on compassion, empathy, and mutual respect. The irony of the situation made her chuckle silently. Sophia reminded herself to stay calm and see this as a test along her journey. Sophia, thinking to herself sometimes, the most valuable lessons come from unexpected situations. Maybe this is one of those times. Sophia took a deep breath, gently dabbed the water on her dress with a napkin, and resolved to keep her patience intact. The flight continued under a subtle tension. Sophia tried to focus on her charity notes, but Amanda's hostile words and actions had left a mark on her mood. She briefly considered reporting Amanda's behavior to the airline, but ultimately decided to stay silent, hoping that the matter would end peacefully. When it came time for meal service, Amanda appeared once more near Sophia's row. This time, she purposely set the heavy meal tray down in front of Sophia, pushing it with enough force that it almost slid off the table. Sophia startled but managed to keep her composure. Amanda, with a voice dripping with sarcasm, I hope this meal suits the tastes of Ms. Lancaster. Sophia offered a polite smile and reached for her utensils, but Amanda lowered her voice, pretending to speak to herself but clearly intending for Sophia to hear. Amanda, not everyone belongs in first class. Sometimes, money doesn't mean you have the right to go wherever you want. A little while later, as Amanda walked by Sophia's seat again, she suddenly stopped, giving her a far more serious look than before. Amanda, Ms. Lancaster, I'm afraid I need to inspect your handbag. We've just received a report of a valuable piece of jewelry missing from the first-class cabin, and by policy, I'm required to check passengers' belongings to ensure security. The first-class cabin went silent, and several passengers turned to look at Sophia in surprise. Though shocked by the implication, Sophia remained calm. Sophia, staying composed, I understand, Amanda. If this will help you feel at ease, I'll cooperate. Sophia placed her handbag on the table and opened it for Amanda to inspect. Passengers like Lucas Bellamy and Mrs. Margaret Whitmore watched the scene unfold, their expressions showing clear disapproval. Lucas, whispering to Margaret, this flight attendant has had a strange attitude toward Ms. Lancaster since the beginning. This is completely unreasonable. Margaret, absolutely, Lucas. This is an unacceptable insult. Amanda began rifling through every compartment of Sophia's handbag, finding no trace of the missing item. Several nearby passengers began to give her disapproving looks, yet Amanda showed no sign of stopping. She abruptly looked up, her tone now even colder. Amanda, Ms. Lancaster, I need to check your person to make sure no jewelry has been concealed. The entire first-class cabin gasped, and murmurs of protest spread among the passengers. Lucas couldn't hold back any longer and spoke up, his voice raised in frustration. Lucas, miss. You cannot treat a first-class passenger like this. This is an invasion of privacy and a blatant display of disrespect. Margaret, Ms. Lancaster has cooperated with you, but requesting a personal search is utterly unacceptable. Sophia, remaining calm, thank you, Lucas and Mrs. Margaret. I want to handle this situation as peacefully as possible. Amanda, if this is truly a security protocol, I will comply. Sophia stood up gently, asking Amanda to conduct the check right there to avoid disturbing other passengers. Amanda proceeded to search her, examining her sleeves, shoulders, and even around her waist. These invasive actions only intensified the other passengers' outrage, as they could see this was no longer a simple security measure but an outright insult and disrespect. If you're enjoying this story and want to support us, please hit like and subscribe. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating meaningful content. And don't go anywhere, the most exciting moments are still to come. Mrs. Margaret Whitmore could no longer hold back. She turned to another flight attendant nearby. "Margaret, I would like to speak to the flight manager immediately. This is not how a first-class passenger deserves to be treated. Lucas, Sophia, you shouldn't have to endure this abuse of power any longer." Finally, after a thorough inspection that turned up nothing, Amanda straightened up, looking visibly embarrassed. She realized she had crossed a line and incited the anger of the entire cabin. Sophia, in a calm tone, "I trust that you found everything you were looking for, Amanda. Next time, perhaps you might consider not letting personal bias affect how you view and treat others." Amanda lowered her head, unable to respond, and hurriedly walked away. The entire first-class cabin remained silent, a heavy atmosphere settling as the other passengers showed their shared frustration over Amanda's behavior. After Amanda left, Lucas turned to Sophia, his voice filled with both gratitude for her composure and indignation over the incident. "Lucas, Sophia, I'm truly sorry you had to go through this unfair treatment. I will personally contact the airline and demand they address this violation of your privacy." "Margaret, I greatly admire your patience, Mrs. Lancaster. But this was entirely unacceptable. We will make sure to report this to prevent any passenger from having to experience such disrespect again." Sophia, smiling appreciatively, "Thank you, Lucas and Mrs. Margaret. I truly appreciate your support. But sometimes remaining calm and respectful is the best way to face situations like this." Sophia then tried to focus on her speech preparation, though her mind was still distracted by the tension. Just then, her phone received an incoming call from Ethan Lancaster using the plane's Wi-Fi. Sophia hesitated for a moment, but decided to answer. Sophia softly, smiling, "Ethan, I was just thinking of you." Ethan over the phone, "Same here. I just wanted to call and wish you luck with your speech at the charity gala. Everything going well?" "Sophia, I'm fine. Just a long flight, that's all." They continued chatting briefly. Nearby, Amanda overheard part of the conversation and started to piece together that the woman she'd treated so coldly was the wife of one of the most powerful figures in finance. Hearing the name Ethan Lancaster, famous for his major investments and extensive holdings, left her visibly stunned. A wave of guilt and discomfort overcame her, but having gone too far with her behavior, Amanda felt stuck, unsure how to redeem herself without revealing her earlier prejudice. When the call ended, Sophia turned off her phone, a gentle smile on her face, feeling comforted after speaking with Ethan. After a few minutes of hesitation, Amanda decided to return to Sophia's seat, attempting to regain professionalism and friendliness in her demeanor. Amanda, forcing a smile, "Miss Lancaster, may I bring you anything else? Perhaps some more water or anything else you need?" Sophia observed Amanda's sudden change in attitude but remained calm. Sophia politely, "Thank you, Amanda. I don't need anything else." Amanda felt a twinge of embarrassment at Sophia's gracious response, something she hadn't expected after everything she had put her through. She gave a small nod and walked away, but the watchful eyes of Mrs. Margaret Whitmore and Lucas Bellamy followed her, their expressions silently judgmental. Returning to the back of the cabin, Amanda spoke with Jake Sanders, the younger attendant known for his friendly and attentive approach. "Amanda, Jake, I just realized who Ms. Lancaster is." "Jake, yes, that's right. She's Ethan Lancaster's wife, a woman known for her charity work, not just her wealth." Amanda, sighing, "I didn't know. I was so quick to judge. I thought she was just another person flaunting her privilege. Now, I don't know what to do." Jake, looking at Amanda seriously, "Amanda, everyone has a past and their own story. Our job is to treat every passenger with fairness and respect, regardless of who they are. That's what you should have done from the start." Amanda stood in silence, realizing she had wronged someone who hadn't deserved such treatment, all because of her own prejudices. Regret welled up inside her, though she struggled to find a way to apologize to Sophia without revealing the full extent of her behavior to the other passengers. As the plane prepared to land, Amanda approached Sophia one last time, her expression conflicted and her eyes filled with a hint of remorse. Amanda, voice hesitant, "Ms. Lancaster, I sincerely apologize if I made you feel uncomfortable during this flight." Sophia, looking gently into Amanda's eyes, "There's no need to apologize, Amanda. We all make mistakes. What's important is that we learn from them and don't let prejudice influence how we see and treat others." Amanda had no words. She simply nodded, feeling both ashamed and grateful. She realized that Sophia had understood everything yet chose to respond with kindness. Bowing her head slightly, Amanda walked away, silently vowing to change and never again let prejudice affect her work. As the plane touched down, Lucas Bellamy and Mrs. Margaret Whitmore decided they would submit feedback to the airline, praising Sophia's calm and admirable composure. Both complimented her on her grace, and Mrs. Margaret couldn't resist saying a few words to Sophia before leaving her seat. "Margaret, Sophia, you set an example for all of us today. If I could say one thing to that flight attendant, it would be to learn from your compassion." Sophia appreciative, "Thank you, Margaret. I believe sometimes we can change others not through anger, but through empathy." Lucas smiling, "Ms. Lancaster, it's truly an honor to have met you. If more people were like you, I think the world would be a much better place." Sophia smiled warmly in return, then gracefully stepped out of the first-class cabin. She noticed Amanda standing at the plane's door with her head bowed, a look of genuine remorse on her face. Amanda gave a subtle nod as Sophia passed, and Sophia responded with a gentle nod and a comforting smile. As Sophia exited the plane, she saw Ethan waiting at the gate, his face glowing with pride and affection. "Ethan, another tough flight." Sophia smiling, "Just another lesson in compassion and empathy." "I'm fine." Ethan took her hand, and the two of them walked away together. Deep in her heart, Sophia knew that sometimes the most unexpected encounters could impart the most profound lessons. She hoped that what she demonstrated today would be a lasting lesson for Amanda, helping her change how she viewed and treated everyone in her life. Ethan nodding, "I hope so. Sometimes the lessons we learn from our mistakes can be the most valuable in life." Sophia chose forgiveness, and I hope it inspires her to change. Following her encounter with Ethan, Amanda enrolled in a communication and awareness training program offered by the airline. Throughout the course, she was introduced to materials on understanding and overcoming personal biases, learning to see and treat everyone with fairness and equality. Gradually, these lessons began to reshape Amanda's perspective, helping her realize that her job was not just about serving passengers but also about respecting and connecting with them. If you're enjoying this story and want to support us, please hit like and subscribe. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating meaningful content. And don't go anywhere, the most exciting moments are still to come. One day, while sitting in class, Amanda recalled Sophia's compassionate gaze and Ethan's words. These lessons weren't just helping her do her job better, they were an opportunity for self-reflection. Training instructor in a customer service environment, we sometimes confront our unconscious biases. But our task is to overcome those biases and treat everyone with respect. We may not know each person's story, but we can be sure that everyone deserves fairness. Amanda nodded slightly, feeling each word resonate deeply. From that moment, she resolved to approach her work with a more genuine heart, allowing neither prejudice nor envy to impact how she treated others. Months later, Sophia took another flight with Royal Skies Airlines. Amanda, now on a different route, was not on Sophia's flight, but her training had transformed her approach to service. Sophia was unaware that her experience with Amanda had circulated within the airline as a lesson in compassion and respect. The other flight attendants on her flight had been briefed on this story and now saw Sophia as an inspiring example. Lead flight attendant on Sophia's new flight greeting her warmly, "Ms. Lancaster, we're honored to have you with us. If there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to ask." Sophia smiled, appreciating the sincerity from the crew. Her happiness came not from the special treatment she received, but from knowing that what had happened on the previous flight had led to positive change within the airline and its service. As time passed, Amanda became a beloved flight attendant known for her sincere and attentive service. She often shared her learned lessons with younger colleagues, reminding them of the importance of fairness and compassion in their work. One day, Amanda received a letter from the Human Resources Department. In it, the airline thanked her for her positive contributions and significant transformation in her service approach. She had not only excelled in her duties but also inspired her colleagues, helping to foster a culture of respect and empathy within the airline. Amanda thinking to herself, "Thank you, Sophia Lancaster. Without your compassion, I wouldn't have become a better person today." The story of Sophia Lancaster's compassion spread beyond the airline, shared at various charity events where Sophia spoke. Many audience members found inspiration in Sophia and Amanda's story, reflecting on how they treated those around them, from colleagues to strangers. Sophia speaking at a charity event: sometimes the smallest acts can create the greatest change. We don't know the story of everyone we meet, but compassion and respect are what everyone deserves. The entire hall fell silent, Sophia's words resonating deeply. After the talk, many people approached her to thank her for sharing the story, each carrying away a lasting lesson. The story of Sophia and Amanda became a powerful example of the impact of empathy and compassion. Sophia emerged as a symbol of kindness and fairness, while Amanda continued her work with a renewed heart and perspective. When Ethan welcomed Sophia home after her trip, he gently took her hand, and the two enjoyed a peaceful evening after a long, busy season. Ethan, you didn't just change one person, Sophia. You did much more. You've inspired many to live with compassion and to keep prejudice from clouding their hearts. Sophia smiling sometimes, compassion is the greatest gift we can give. We can't control how others treat us, but we can always choose how we respond. As they watched the sunset together, Sophia knew that life would continue to bring challenges, yet she had the power to make a difference through what seemed like chance encounters. She resolved to keep going on this journey, spreading the spirit of compassion and kindness to even more people. If you found inspiration in Sophia's journey of compassion and Amanda's transformation, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Let's spread the message that even small acts of kindness and understanding can create profound change. Together, we can make the world a little brighter by choosing empathy and respect in our everyday lives. Share this story to inspire others to embrace compassion, and let's keep building a community that values kindness, one story at a time. Thank you for watching.